When we pray, who are we really praying to? When we get on our knees or when we wake up in the morning and pray to God, are we praying to God? Are we praying to ourselves? Are we praying to the universe? Which one is it? Because I've been thinking lately and a thought came across my head. I'm like, when you pray to God, are you praying to God? Are you praying to yourself? Are you like begging yourself to do something? Because when you pray to God, you ask for specific things. I, they're like wishes, like you wish for things. You wish things turned out a certain way. You wish things are better. You wish you had less problems to deal with. You wish you had financial freedom. But I think really what you're doing is you're begging yourself to figure out the situation, to find ways to make yourself financially free. You're begging yourself to do these things, and I feel like that's just a way of religion, just like it makes us be better, like a way of religion making us be a better person, so to better ourselves, to make decisions that are good. And this is where self improvement comes in. How self improvement, like I think right now, is replacing religion because it's kind of the same thing. I'm not talking about the aspect of religion being, sorry, of self improvement being a replacement. I'm just saying it covers the same needs, really, if of the reason why people actually go to religion, apart from community, reliability, peace of mind, and a sense of community. All those things that religion brings, um, self improvement doesn't, bring all of it, but it covers the part of the self. That's why it's called self improvement. And all of us are selfish. We're all selfish to an extent. And if it covers that selfish need of us, it's a lot of people are going to fluctuate. A lot of people are going to do the cold showers, the gym, the make money, make money. Oh, I don't know, man. I just don't know. So when you pray, you're praying to yourself, or you're begging yourself that please do something to figure out to lead us to this situation that we're praying for. And self improvement doesn't replace religion. It doesn't. Because religion has community. There's a sense of belonging that religion brings that I don't think self improvement does. And a lot of other factors. I don't think self improvement actually promotes, the fact of of treating your neighbors as you treat yourself, or all these very morally bound things that religion brings. I don't think self improvement does that. Yeah, so who are you really talking to when you pray to God? The universe or yourself? And the reason why I asked this question is last year was one of the more difficult years I've ever faced in my life so far. I don't know if this year will be more difficult or future years ahead are going to be more difficult. But last year was absolutely difficult because I could find myself in this hole, so steep down. It was so dark. I was just surrounded by nothing but darkness. And the reason why I kept going was one, my mom and my dad and my sisters, honest, my family. Those are the only three people that I was like, there has to be a way out of this situation you are in, this place of almost, it felt like infinite struggle for at the time. Like it was just pain, it was just struggle, it was just, I was, I just kept going because I had family and I know I can't put much pain on them by, getting myself out of the equation or remove myself from the equation because I thought about it, you know, I thought about remove myself from the equation, and I was like, what would that do to your parents, your siblings, your sisters? What would that do to them? And what would that say about you? Because you have not lived yet, and yet you're contemplating this. And I just kept going. And there was a day I was going to work, and I was asking myself, Cheryl, why are you going? Why are you pushing? Why are you? I'm like, I asked myself this question, and I replied to myself, I don't know, I'm just going. And the next day I showed up, the next day, the next day, and 2 months passed, 3 months passed, and I'm still showing up. Maybe not the way I would have liked, but to an extent I showed up for myself. And maybe the reason for that was I want to find out if there's a purpose to this, or there's an end, or there's something that you're gonna feel when you you carry yourself out of this world. And when they say like nobody's gonna come and save you, they don't mean like no one's gonna come and help you. They mean no one is gonna save you from that hole you're in. Because if someone like literally comes down and cheer you up and makes you laugh, maybe even have a partner, even, and maybe your family is around you, they support you every time. But you're still in that mental hole that you are in because of whatever reason you are in for. No one can really, really bring you up from there, even if you're smiling every day. Because the struggle is invisible. You don't know when you can cover it up with a little bit of cement, but really, there's gonna be a time where that all just is just tired of being covered up and it swallows again and it gets deeper and it just entraps you or something and makes it worse. And so last year, as I was saying, I kept going. I showed up day after day. Some days I didn't even show up at all. I just laid in bed. Sometimes I'll go to the gym. I'm like, what's the point of the gym? And then I'll still pay for a subscription next month. I'm like, why did you do that? And then I don't know, maybe I just gave myself a reason to, keep going. And month after month, year after year, sorry, day after day, week after weeks, some hours were brutal. Some hours were longer than the other. Because I remember the end of last year was just, there was a little bit of glimpse that this year has been difficult, but the fact that I made it was just something that lit up inside me that just gave me something to smile about. And I think this is where I was thinking like self-improvement, religion, God. I fought with God. I was because when I was fighting with, because I'm Muslim, so I was brought up Muslim. And then I was like asking for a reason, like, is there anything, give me an hint as to why this is happening, whatever. I was fighting with God, but I think also indirectly I was fighting with myself. This is where the question of, like, when you're praying to God, are you also like praying to yourself or begging yourself to do something? The same way when you are angry at God, are you angry at yourself? Because I think there's a God in all of us. Not the religious sense, but a universe inside us that begs for something. And when you do what you ask yourself to do, and you lead yourself in a way that you want this thing, you want yourself to be led. I think like the universe, the universe kind of blesses us, and this is where the religious part comes into, like the God, where the chances you start you start like getting opportunities or finding yourself in good graces and scenarios. And this was where the thought of fighting with God and God being yourself, asking yourself where. So this is where the thought of, like, when you're praying to God for something, you're begging yourself for literally the same thing, or begging yourself to do the action that will lead to the prayer they are asking for. And last year I was kind of struggling a little bit, and I was fighting with myself, and I was like fighting with God. I was asking for, like, give me a hint of which direction to go, and I just kept going. I didn't really know what other thing to do. Like, there is no choice. You're gonna have to, you're gonna have to move somewhere, but at least move anywhere. So where I went to was to the gym. Sometimes I go to work. Sometimes I'll just sit on my laptop and program or code or whatever. And this year I still struggle with it, especially this morning, and I was in the same headspace a little bit, and I still, like, I was finding myself, because even if you found yourself, like you have climbed out, like, maybe 10 inches out of the darkness you're in, you can still, like, fall down 5 inches below and still, find yourself asking yourself, why are you doing this? Why are you going in? Like, there's no point. Is there any reason to this? But the thing is, like, the terrain becomes familiar because you have, moved 10 inches. So those 10 inches below, the terrain below that becomes more familiar. I can climb out of that easily up to the 10 inches, and then the 10 inches to 15 is harder because you have not explored that terrain yet. You have not, like, dug yourself out of that terrain. And if you fall deep, like, the more you fall into the hole, like, the harder it becomes to get higher. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but the more you fall, like, the harder it becomes. But if you kind of hold on to that 10 inches for a little bit and just relax and just, okay, yes, I know it's not perfect, but let me just relax a bit, and then maybe move up 1 inch in 1 week or 2 weeks or whatever. And you're gonna move up 50 inches, you don't know, in 6 months, 100 inches in a year, and I think that hole is bottomless, and you're gonna keep climbing it until you're dead. Because really, I think that's what life is: climbing up to that 10 inches and relaxing a bit. And I think that's what happiness is. Because right now, because I was wondering, are you happy, Shreya? Because the other day I was asking, are you happy? And I felt, I felt happy, but everything was not perfect. But I felt happy, and the reason was that I kept going and I kept promises to myself. For the past few months, I've been keeping majority of my promises to myself, and I think that's what happiness is. Happiness is, just staying, just keeping yourself on the edge of that bottomless pit, relaxing, and knowing that you made it this far. You know it's not perfect, but you're gonna move up 1 inch at some point or the other. But right now, you want to relax. And I think that's what happiness is: looking for that sweet spot where you can just say, okay, I made it this far. I think that's life. And yeah, it might not be riches or financial um, material things to show for her, but I think that's the battle that is what's fighting the most, the one in your mind. And as long as you're working in a direction that feels right to you, as long as you're walking in a direction that is just you, what could really go wrong? Even if everything goes wrong, what would be the worst that could happen? And I said, the worst is you will be homeless, honestly. And yes, it's a I don't know. I don't really I don't really think I'm further than that because being an homeless person is a scary distance from me, and I just kept it to that. So that's where this YouTube came from, and honestly, I don't want this video to blow up because there's a lot of vulnerability in it, and maybe it's for myself, maybe it's for yeah, I don't know. And maybe it's just me telling myself to keep going. Well, I think I've shared my. This is one of my much more better videos in terms of me explain myself much more clearly. And if this like relates to you or it sounds something like you're familiar with the feeling, let me know in the comments below and subscribe. See you.